Up next is Dr. Kevin Fu, Acting Director, Medical Device Cybersecurity at the Food and Drug Administration. He will give an overview of current FDA efforts regarding securing medical devices and making them more resilient against ransomware attacks.
I'd like to thank Christian and Jeff for inviting me to brief this community. I am Kevin Fu, the Acting Director of Medical Device Cybersecurity at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in the Center for Devices and Radiological Health. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about activities going on at FDA to ensure cybersecurity of medical devices so that devices remain safe and effective. First, a couple fact-sharing slides. FDA has found some medical devices not to be approvable or cleared for the US market based on cybersecurity concerns alone. And the reason for that is because we consider cybersecurity as a key part of safety. When there's a cybersecurity risk of clinical relevance, then that will affect the safety and effectiveness of a medical device. And so it's very important to have cybersecurity built in rather than bolted on in the design of medical devices. So how has FDA communicated its recommendations to improve the security of medical devices? Well, there have been many activities dating back almost a decade now. In 2013, FDA released its first pre-market guidance on medical device security for the pre-market submissions of medical devices. You can think of this early guidance document as what goes into the engineering of a medical device, the risk management, the threat modeling, what are a lot of the technical approaches that go into ensuring a device will be born secure and then remain secure. A second guidance document that the FDA issued was called Post-Market Management of Cybersecurity in Medical Devices. And this was done in 2016. And I view this as more of a social contract of, okay, after a device is out in the market and a vulnerability is discovered or an incident happens in the field, how is that communicated to the different stakeholder groups? And so it talks about how to work with the FDA, how to work with the different government agencies responsible for ensuring cybersecurity of infrastructure, to communicate with industry and the healthcare delivery stakeholder groups and patients on how to share this information in a coordinated manner. So it's all about coordinated vulnerability disclosure. And so in FDA parlance, when we say a guidance document, this is a document that has gone through the equivalent of academic peer review. It has a very rigorous public comment period. And these documents are usually years in the making, working with the different stakeholder groups as well to communicate FDA's recommendations to improve, in this case, medical device security. Now, the FDA has also issued reports on its intentions for security of medical devices. And so I would like to draw your attention to the Medical Device Safety Action Plan that FDA published almost 3 years ago. And in this document, FDA mentions how it plans to consider new pre-market authorities to require firms to work on things such as a software bill of materials, making sure that the medical devices can patch security vulnerabilities. And then these software bill of materials will be enabling a number of different use cases, not only in the regulatory review, but also in helping the healthcare delivery organizations to better ascertain their risks and perform risk management of medical devices in the clinical environment. There are a number of other things in the Medical Device Safety Action Plan, and if you come join my talk later this year, you'll be hearing about these in more detail. I would like to focus for just a moment on the topic of threat modeling. So threat modeling, to me, is the cybersecurity equivalent to hazard analysis. It's really the foundational elements of demonstrating security of a system. It's very difficult to demonstrate security of a system if you don't first have a refutable threat model. And so to that end, FDA recently announced the playbook for threat modeling of medical devices, that was written by MITRE and MDIC, and you can download that playbook from the URL here, or if you just search online for playbook for threat modeling medical devices. I'll just highlight a couple things about threat modeling. And again, feel free to come to my talk later this year if you'd like more detail. But threat models bring, in my view, better engineering and science. And so we can get away from sort of gut judgment assessments of, hey, I feel my device is secure, to actually providing evidence of that security in a refutable manner, such that a reviewer can either agree or disagree with a manufacturer's assessment. So long gone are the days where a manufacturer can say something like, well, we've never been attacked, so we don't need to worry. That's not science and it's not refutable. And we're moving much toward a world where medical devices have to withstand hostile networks, because malware gets into networks, whether they're connected to the internet directly or indirectly, malware eventually gets in. And so it's important to have refutable threat models. Let me also say that regulatory authorities across the world are working hard to ensure more harmony across our different borders, so that manufacturers can have more consistency to expectations from the different regulatory jurisdictions. And so the IMDRF had released a document about the total product life cycle. They also have a very active group on legacy device issues. A legacy device, a legacy medical device, is one that is not only insecure, but is effectively insecurable because of the difficulty of being able to apply patches. As the environment changes, these medical devices develop security vulnerabilities that are extremely difficult to control. And so the IMDRF has been working on how to tame the beast of these legacy medical devices that are extremely difficult to secure. The IMDRF is also active right now as we speak on something called software bills of material. SBOM is most known for coming out of the US National Telecommunications and Information Administration. An SBOM is essentially a software ingredient list. What's on the inside, in this case, a medical device, what's on the inside in terms of third-party software. And the reason for this is similar to why you would expect a nutrient label on food you purchase at the grocery store, and that is the consumer, and often in this case, either a health delivery organization or a patient, can better know what risks they're taking, and they can also better know what kinds of controls they may need to put in place for residual risk. And so this is a initiative that was announced many years ago in our Medical Device Safety Action Plan, where software bill of materials is front and center in FDA strategy to improve the security of medical devices. You'll be seeing much more of this. And again, the IMDRF is working on its documents so that there will be more consensus and consistency across the different jurisdictions of the world. But SBOM is here to stay. And the real question is, what shape is it going to take form over the coming years as we slowly grow into the customs of expecting SBOM? Let me also draw your attention to the Joint Security Plan that was published by the Healthcare and Public Health Sector Coordinating Council, also known as the HSCC in the United States. The Joint Security Plan is effectively a framework or a template, especially if you're a manufacturer on, let's say you don't have a cybersecurity program for your product development. What are some of the essential elements? So that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, the Joint Security Plan gives you a good baseline starting point to develop the plan that makes sense for your organization. In the software engineering world, we often refer to this as a security development lifecycle. Here, the Joint Security Plan is a total product lifecycle reference guide as far as the cybersecurity elements go. Everything from beginning with the design of these medical devices to understanding when to assess the maturity such that the device may need to be removed from the market because of risks that cannot be controlled. Let me also give a little advertisement here. I am moderating a seminar series at the UC San Francisco Stanford CERCI FDA Distinguished Speaker Series Cybersecurity for Biomedical Engineering. Many of the talks are already online on YouTube. You can look at the URL down here below at farm.ucsf.edu/CERSI/cybersecurity. And every third Thursday, we will have a talk by a distinguished member of the security and privacy research community from academia, and trying to help integrate many of these principles to the biomedical engineering world so that biomedical engineers can better understand how to integrate the teachings and principles of security into product development pedagogy. So thank you again, and I hope you'll come to the full summit, and I hope you enjoy the rest of today's session. Thank you very much.